You ever had one of those days where a small moment punches you straight in the chest and you just stop? It was a Tuesday morning lobby of Whitaker and Company, all glass and marble and people walking fast like they're late for something important. I was heading to the elevator with my 6-year-old Nolan. We don't talk much in the mornings, he doesn't talk much at all these days. But he was holding tight to his dad's old navy scarf, the only thing he still touches without flinching. Then it slipped, just floated out of his fingers like a leaf, landed on the marble without a sound. But Nolan froze like it shattered. Before I could move a janitor I'd never even noticed him before stepped forward. Worn boots, mop bucket squeaking behind him, quiet eyes. He bent down and picked up the scarf like it was something holy. No fanfare, no hesitation. Just this. Reverence. And I snapped. "Don't touch that." I barked louder than I meant. "It's not yours." He didn't flinch. Just handed it to me, nodded once, and walked off. Like he'd been through worse. Like nothing I said could touch whatever silence he'd already lived through. I knelt in front of Nolan, wrapped the scarf back around him, fixed his collar, brushed his cheek. Mom stuff. But he didn't look at me. He was watching the janitor. Then he whispered, first full sentence in weeks. "He reminds me of Daddy." I couldn't breathe. See, Nolan hasn't spoken much since the accident. My husband Mark, a fire marshal, died in a gas explosion 2 years ago. Nolan was there. He saw too much. He stopped speaking after the funeral. Not just to strangers, to me. So when he said those 5 words, I turned fast. But the janitor was already gone. Like a ghost swallowed up by polished floors and quarterly goals. I didn't believe in signs. I believed in shareholder meetings, brand trust scores, performance reports. But Nolan hadn't looked a man in the eye since we buried his dad, and now this. Janitor had cracked something open. Later that day I asked Nolan why. Why did that man remind him of Daddy? He pointed to the whistle on the janitor's uniform in a drawing. Daddy had one too, he said, and he smelled like fire jackets. The kind that hug you. Now that shook me. The next day I found him again, down in the maintenance corridor. Smelled like lemon cleaner and old secrets. He was fixing a vending machine, whistling a low tune like it helped him think. I apologized, really apologized. Told him my son had spoken for the first time in weeks. Told him Mark was a firefighter. He nodded gently and said, "Was he a good one?" I said, "The best." And he replied, "Then it's an honor." His name was Jesse. Jesse Cole. Didn't say much, didn't brag. Just nodded like a man who'd seen fire and wasn't in a rush to prove anything. A few days later, Nolan disappeared in the park. Just gone. We were there for some sunlight and ducks and healing, and I turned. For a second, he vanished. Panic doesn't even cover what hit me. I was yelling, sprinting, screaming his name, when suddenly this sharp whistle cuts the air. I froze. 2 short toots. It was the same signal Mark used when picking Nolan up from daycare. I turned and saw Jesse standing just past the amphitheater stage, calm, focused. And there behind him, crouched and crying, Nolan. I fell to my knees, hugging my son, whispering, "You're safe now, baby. You're okay." And Nolan looked at Jesse, then at me and said, "He found me, just like Daddy used to." That was the moment I knew this wasn't a coincidence. That night I found an old article online, *Fire Captain. Jesse Cole receives Medal of Valor after saving 9 lives in tragic warehouse fire. *. He lost his wife that day. Left the force. Took a janitor job to raise his daughter full-time alone. I couldn't sleep. The next morning, I walked straight into our HR office and asked who decided to let Jesse go. Because yeah, corporate had quietly ended his contract, some nonsense about vendor rotations. No thanks for the elevator rescue, no handshake, just paperwork and goodbye. I was furious. I found him that evening scrubbing a milk stain from his carpet while his daughter folded origami cranes. "You didn't have to come," he said. "I did," I answered. "Because you're the only person who's made my son feel safe since he lost his dad." He said nothing, just kept wiping the carpet. So I knelt down, looked him in the eye and said, "Come back, not as a janitor, as our director of safety and healing." He blinked. "That a real title?" "It is now." I brought him back, gave him a real office, a space for kids on the spectrum, a quiet room, a piano, books, a mission. That Monday, Nolan stood in front of the whole floor, executive staff, even the board, and whispered to Jesse, "Can I call you Mr. Jesse? Or maybe Dad one day?" The room froze. Jesse knelt, cupped my son's face, and said, "I'm not here to replace him, but I'll walk beside you every step." And I'll be honest, I cried. Not a little. I wept. Because sometimes the people we overlook are the ones carrying the most weight. Jesse didn't save my company. He saved my son's ability to trust again. And me. He reminded me what strength actually looks like. Quiet, steady, showing up day after day, whistle in pocket heart, still healing, still helping. So let me ask you something. Have you ever dismissed someone based on their uniform, their job title, the silence they carried? Because I almost did, and it nearly cost me everything. What about you? Drop a comment. Tell me, have you ever misjudged someone and realized too late they were the hero all along? Let's talk about it. Let's get real. Because the world doesn't need more perfect resumes, it needs more Jesse Coles. More people who know how to listen before they're asked. And if this story hits something in you, even just a little, do us a favor, like, share, subscribe. Let's keep stories like this breathing. Until next time, listen for the quiet ones. They're the ones carrying the miracles.